Tamara Livingston and I are the chair and co-chair of the mentoring program, and we're going to give this a little update. We've made some changes, and so we're going to give you a little overview of what mentoring is and should be, as well as kind of talk about what is actually being rolled out this year. Pretty much in every profession today, the role of mentorship is pointed out as a necessity for success. Having a mentor provides an opportunity to glean the understanding of the profession from someone who has more experience or knowledge in the profession, a general or a more specific topic. If you are at a point in your professional life where you are met with a major change, a mentor is someone who can help direct you based on actual experience. Mentors can point you to career opportunities that you never considered and increase your professional confidence and identify clear goals. And this is especially important in a field where so many of us already identify with imposter syndrome. Per Susan Metros and Catherine Yang in their 2006 book, The Importance of Mentors, the concept of mentoring goes back to the historical craftsman-apprentice relationship, where young people learned a trade by shadowing a master artisan. But corporate America has redefined mentoring as basically a career development strategy. Now, more so than ever, mentoring is expanding with many organizations across almost every profession in offering mentorship opportunities to new professionals or students. However, there is no one ring to rule them all approach to mentorship which makes this a bit frustrating, but understandable. Mentorship relies on a relationship between two people, and that just can't be directed by an outside source. However, there is a set of mentor guiding principles that focus on the human relationships, commitments, and resources that can help proteges find success and fulfillment in their professional pursuits. The relationship should strive to be mutually beneficial. Each participant should share their goals for the relationship and work together to achieve them. Without trust in an environment of confidentiality, any relationship will fail. Both participants should be honest in what they want from a relationship and be prepared to offer frank feedback, even if that feedback is critical. But you need to remember that mutual benefit can only be achieved when everyone feels heard and understood. Strong relationships often structure this mentorship relationship in order to build a partnership. And this can be done by focusing that relationship on a project or collaborating on research or even some kind of role play. Each participant should take responsibility for the success of the relationship. While it is important for mentoring relationships to have defined goals, the process is just as important, so you need to be flexible in your approach to this relationship. As listed here, the outcomes of a traditional mentorship are pretty standard. A protege should learn skills and meet people. They should begin to understand the profession as a whole and learn how they fit into it, as well as identifying their professional goals and a path. Now, goal setting is important when finding a good mentor. As a protege, you can identify a mentor who will be good only if you are clear on what you are looking to accomplish. This exposes something that most people don't consider: the responsibility of the protege. In most cases, the protege leads this relationship through their goals, their questions, their pathways. So the protege ultimately is mostly responsible for the success of this partnership at a basic level. So here we see a protege worksheet. The University of Nebraska-Lincoln has this available for graduate students when they're identifying a mentor relationship. It sets out what their expectations are. And while this one is aimed at an academic relationship between student and faculty, there are still universal considerations in being a protege looking for a mentor. So mentors are great. They provide knowledge that you can learn from a mentor's knowledge and experience, and then can apply these lessons to your life as a new professional. A mentor can help you get to know your strengths and weaknesses over time and can play a critical role in helping you improve and become the professional you want to be. Mentors tend to be well connected and well liked, and they can introduce you to the professional network and help set you up for success. They also serve as a great support system to provide you with encouragement to take risks and also believe in yourself. They have experience that you may not, and can help you make decisions either in explaining their views or helping you reach your own decisions. And you can learn lessons from your mentor's past and stories so that you can avoid making big errors in your own life. Now, so far we focused on the protege and what they get out of the relationship, but I don't want anyone walking away from this presentation thinking, well, I'd be a mentor, but that's a lot of work and all I get is a line on my CV. I mean, the feeling of fulfillment and giving back to the profession and all. So the benefits of a mentor. These will you can actually improve your communication skills. As a mentor, you work on your verbal and written communication skills by interacting with a protege. Since you get to share your own knowledge and experiences, it helps you reinforce what you know. Being a mentor can help boost your CV as it demonstrates leadership skills and a professional engagement. As a mentor, you broaden your own network by connecting with other mentors and proteges, as well as other leadership professionals. And when you are a good mentor, your protege succeeds. And part of that success is yours. When a mentor reviews their work over time, there is a sense of fulfillment and a personal growth. Mentorship makes you a good person, guys. And when you're a mentor, you are a leader who is continuing to improve your skills. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a nice worksheet like the one I did for the proteges, but there are questions that a mentor needs to understand about themselves. You should identify not only if you should be a mentor, but also what kind of mentor you want to be. Mentors should reflect on their days as a new professional and answer these kinds of questions for themselves. It is so important to understand that this is a relationship first and foremost. And while there is much to gain, there is a responsibility on both parts. The protege should know that they direct the relationship. They should have a goal or goals in mind, and the mentor should help to work with the protege to find or update those goals. Both the mentor and protege need to come to this relationship with an understanding of where they came from, where they are, and where they want to go.
Okay, and so after that wonderful overview of what mentoring is and some hopefully some food for thought, the second half of our presentation today is going to talk a little bit about some of the changes that we're proposing and some new programs that we're hoping to launch very soon. I did want to start with just a very brief story from my own personal experience, and I have to say that I started as a lone arranger in my job many, many years ago. And the first thing I did in sitting in my blank office with no archive, nothing, just a task to create one and start a records management program, I reached out to the SGA community, and they gave so much back to me that I am just eternally grateful to SGA. And so I think Laura and I are both committed to ensuring that others have the benefit of these wonderful experiences. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some of our changes. Next slide, please. So the traditional mentoring program, of course, has been sort of a mainstay for SGA for many years, and we have a wonderful core group of mentors that have served in it. And it's a wonderful program, and I know that many people have benefited from it. But we also heard some feedback from some folks who made some suggestions, and one suggestion was to shorten the time period commitment. So we are now offering 6 to 9 month time commitments with the opportunity to renew, thinking that fits people's schedules a little better. But I think more importantly, we wanted to make sure that the experience had some structure to it. That was another suggestion that people threw out, was the idea that some structure would be very helpful. So we'd like to incorporate the SAA core values and code of ethics as a way of promoting the profession. But also there's some great case studies and some wonderful things to talk about, some of the issues that we all face in our workplace. And I think the speaker, this morning's speaker, brought up some wonderful points that we really need to think about these issues in our daily work, and what better way than to discuss them with a mentor and to bounce ideas off each other. So we'd like to incorporate that as part of the mentor program. And we also want to develop the networks of protege networks so that they feel comfortable and feel well supported by their SGA community. So another thing that we suggested would be useful for mentors would be to commit to introducing their protege to at least one other professional archivist in an area of interest to the protege. And again, that way it provides a connection and kind of a safety network for that person as they continue their path. So those are the main changes that we're thinking of, as well as, of course, continuing to recruit and develop and maintain a robust mentor pool. Next slide, please. So we have 3 new programs. We're very ambitious this year. that we'd like to try. The first program we're calling the Archives Advisor Program. This was a program that we had, in previous literature, we had talked about, named it situational. So we renamed it to be more descriptive. The purpose of the Archives Advisor Program is to help SGA members take advantage of the vast experience and knowledge of our members. And it really is incredible. So one way that people had done that in the past was to send a message out to the listserv, which is a wonderful resource. But sometimes the listserv is not the most efficient way of connecting. There are many barriers, I think, to that. First of all, it's almost like a cold call. You feel like you're exposing yourself a little bit by having to just put out what your issues are out there. And you might not want to do that. If you're undergoing a challenging management situation or something where you want a little more discretion, you might not want to just send that out to the list. And I've noticed also that for people to respond, I think many of us feel, oh, I could answer that, but I'll let somebody else do it. I'm too busy, or, there's many barriers to that. So we thought that if we could create a structure that would help people with short-term issues or projects that they're working on, that would be a very helpful thing. So the idea here is that we are already assembling an advisor board. We have already 6 people on the board who have volunteered to serve, so that when we receive questions or communications from our group about people wanting to find advice on particular topics, then our job is to connect them with the advisor pool and get some instant or very close to instant recommendations for people who are willing to reach out to that person. I think this will be very helpful to people. And so this is a new program we'd like to launch early next year. So that's the Archives Advisor Program. Next slide, please. Another program we're interested in launching is called the Leadership Shadow Program. And the idea here is that we're helping to cultivate the new leaders of SGA and ensure, of course, succession and continuity planning, but also just break down some more barriers between those who feel like, I can't do that. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid to commit to that because I don't really feel comfortable doing that. So the Leadership Shadow Program, we're hoping will address that. This is another program we'd like to launch next year. We'll probably start out with the SGA executive leadership and recruit proteges to work directly with them. Again, structure is key. So we're structuring this program so that the protege, their responsibility is to become familiar with the position duties as described in the administrative handbook. They will participate in board meetings as an observer of protocol and decision-making processes, understanding how are decisions made in this kind of environment. What is the mechanism for bringing forth ideas and discussing ideas and then implementing them? And so they would serve sort of as a neutral observer. We may even get wonderful feedback from them on their observations. They will be included they will attend regular meetings and be included in email chains. And again, as a participant observer. And at the end of their 4 to 6 month position, they will create a final reflection report shared by the president at a board meeting. And then after that, they will be encouraged to apply for committee positions and then strongly encouraged to apply for elected leadership positions. So we're very excited about this program. Next slide, please. So the final pathway that we're launching is, again, the mentoring committee is willing to serve to help groups come together and to make connections happen. I think really maybe is our motto. We're trying to make connections happen. So we're also thinking that if there is interest or a need, we would be very happy to help broker the formation of groups based on, for example, geographic location. We often hear that folks who are not directly in the Metro Atlanta area sometimes feel a little isolated, and we would love to develop a group for folks in particular areas if that's of interest. So we would serve to, again, broker those connections, get the group started, and then it would be up to the group to continue it going. We could facilitate formations of groups based on interest. For example, archival education might be one, or particular metadata could be another one, or how do we promote diversity, any kind of interest groups. Or we could help facilitate the creation of new professional groups, or status change groups, for example, a group for new managers, or again, whatever the needs of the SGA membership might be. Next slide, please. So at this point, we are at about 11:49. And at this point, we would love to break the group. I see now we have 31 participants, which is more than I anticipated, actually. We wanted to get your feedback on these programs and ideas, realizing there's a lot of information that is out there. But we would be interested in your feedback about either some of these new pathways or strategies for improving our mentoring programs, or gauging interest, which of these programs are most interesting to you and why. We realize it's kind of ambitious and it's a lot, so it may be that the membership really responds to particular programs and not others, which is fine. We'll just divide the group randomly into 2 groups, and we want to make sure we have time to come back and discuss the results. Laura, if you don't mind, I'll just kind of kick it off and try to summarize some of the comments. So we had some commentary about the shadow program. Christina was mentioning that she thought that would be really helpful to kind of keep the board fresh and to break down those barriers for folks. Deborah Davis was very interested in the geographic regional option, pulling together, maybe doing some work to try and create a group. It's hard, I think, maybe to mentor people when they're very far away. So it'd be nice if we could come up with some geographical. Thank you, Deborah. And then there was some conversation about new managerial. There's some interest in that. So I think that's something maybe we can really encourage folks to utilize the Archives Advisor program on. And then Luann had some great comments about better incorporation of social media and trying to, again, maybe break down some of those communication barriers that are existing right now for our programs. So I think those are the notes that I took, but had some good discussion there. Laura, did you want to summarize your group?
Yeah, we had a lot of people who are interested in being involved. We have some new professionals to the area who are excited to see this. A lot of the conversation was also about the networking groups. And I think I did most of the talking. Sorry, guys. I'll give you a chance to talk here as well. But the idea that a lot of smaller organizations who are outside of Atlanta do feel isolated, and being able to kind of organize around that kind of topic would be really helpful. Elaine was very interested in that, and I may have convinced her to lead one. There was questions about the time commitment, which we had gone through before, and it's written up in the documentation, but it really is planning to be no more than 10 hours a month, and that is if you are super involved. We're thinking anywhere, really 2 to 5 should be the commitment that you should expect to put in. In addition, we got some conversation about becoming mentors and, serving on the advisor board. And I kind of pointed out that in addition to being someone that you'd be contacted, the advisors can also be people who point to other advisors that they might know about. So if you're well connected in the archival community, you might be a great advisor, because if you don't know, you know someone who does. And finally, there was conversation about the fact that the shadow program was really exciting, because there was someone else who, like me, when she first started, was hesitant to join because, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what people are going to expect from you. And a lot of us come out right from school and are like, ooh, I can't do this, So it was a really interesting conversation. Anyone from group, whatever, was I in 2 or 1? Anyone from anywhere have any questions or want to expand on anything?
I think while you're thinking about questions, I think maybe our challenge now, Laura, is to figure out some next steps to follow up then on people's various interest and ways of participating. I'm hoping maybe we can get a list of participants in this session, and we'd be happy to then send you results. There was also a conversation in my group about guidelines and links to appropriate materials if we're asking for mentors to refer to particular guidelines like the SGA Code of ethics and core values document that we provide links to that. So I think that's certainly things that we can do. We can create, Laura, sort of one-pagers that would outline kind of responsibilities on both sides and provide some of these, for example, the protege worksheets for folks. So our next step could be then to reach back out to you as a group, and those who were interested could then use that as a jumping off point to contact us with sort of more formally. Any other questions or suggestions now that we're all back? We've still got a little bit of time in the session remaining. We'd love to hear, don't want to leave anybody behind.
I'm just curious. I mean, I guess we could do this by like unmuting or muting. Who would be, like right now, who thinks that they might be interested in volunteering to be either a mentor or a protege? If you want to be a mentor or a protege, just unmute yourself and we'll just count you.
Or you could put the thumbs up next to your.
Oh, yeah, I don't have my things set that way. Ooh. So I see at least 4. That's exciting. Does anyone have any other like thoughts or questions, or when you came into this session, was there something you wanted to learn or know about that we didn't cover?
We could even hear from former mentors or mentors who are currently serving. Well, while you're thinking, I again, going back to the Archives Advisor Program, one of the things that I would like to see are, for example, I know that when we have software migration, that can always cause, a lot of angst, or digital preservation, these things where we may feel like we should be doing something, but we're not, but I'm really not sure even what I should be starting to do. This is exactly what I think SGA membership can provide expertise and guidance, and really just take a lot of the angst out of a lot of what we do. I think many of us, myself included, we reinvent the wheel a lot because maybe we're afraid to reach out and just say, hey, I want to, find out from collective wisdom where we are, and then I can build my path that makes sense. So again, that's one of the goals, at least, of one of our programs.
April wrote that her library is being renovated, so it's almost like starting over. And I answered that we might have someone on the advisor committee that has gone through a renovation and might be looking, or might have gone through it, like worked in a reference or figured out. I know that when Rose Library went through it a few years ago, they took our floor away and we had to go to a bunch of different places, and none of us were in the same floors. We're all across the library, and how we actually had to work around a lot of that. And it was a learning curve. So it would have been helpful to see that.
Yeah, library renovation is a great one. So April, I'll note that. That is perfect for the Archives Advisory Group because, as Laura says, there are probably at least 3 or 4 other folks that we could count off the top of our heads who have gone through this and could at least be a sounding board for you. And we can connect you then one-to-one. Also interested in digitizing your books. Yeah, digitization projects, absolutely. I think a lot of us could weigh in on that and suggest, have you thought of this or have you thought of that? So digitizing is another great thing. So good, April, we might want to use you as maybe our experimental person to see if we can get you some contacts for some of your questions that you have, if you don't mind. So we've got 5 minutes left. This is really fantastic. Are there any other requests or ideas for issues that you might be facing that you would like to throw out there?
So Olivia writes that she's looking for people who don't work in an archival role full time. I believe we have lots of people who do that. You could either go for a traditional and learn from someone who may be in archives if you're looking to move into that, or even start a cohort with people, or learning on certain topics or what you think you need to learn about?
Yeah, that would be perfect for, I think, sort of the networking option for those who have a particular status. And if you're certainly part-timers face a lot of different challenges. And I'm sure there are members that could speak to that and that would be a really great way to kind of come together and work together on that. So Olivia, we can reach back out to you to see if you might be interested in starting a cohort.
And also, I think one of the things that we're really getting to is the fact that a lot of these programs are really just kind of a logistical stepping stone. The topics are really up to what you want to do.
I see. Oh, go ahead.
Tamar, I have a question. Okay, because I was interested in networking because, I'm outside of Atlanta in a small facility at the city of Roswell. It would be great. But what is the difference between having a networking program like this or, we used to meet, you had started the Northwest Archivist group.
Yeah.
But what would be the difference?
I think the difference is really sort of internal to SGA, since these programs are internal to SGA. So the difference for the Northwest group that I started, that was to try to bridge the gap between SGA members and GAMAG members, museums, historical societies, and to try to bridge it that way. So it will be limited in that it will be within SGA. Okay. But I think there's still value in that to bring SGA members, at least geographically, together. So hopefully it would complement and kind of serve a different purpose. Great question.
Yeah, I don't see this as trying to co-opt from other groups. I know that with the North Georgia, with the there's the African American cohort that's outside of SGA. Those are really structured and good organizations, and I don't want to try to compete with those. I think that if we do find something where there is overlap, we might try to direct you to already established organizations or established groups.
I know there was a question about annual meetings, and yes, in normal times and annual meetings, yes, that would be an opportunity for groups to actually meet face to face. And I think there would be great value in that, sort of like maybe the roundtable idea that SAA has, but of course we're quite a bit smaller, and I think perhaps a little bit more intimate. So yeah, absolutely, that'd be a great idea. Olivia said that she's a librarian, but she's building her archive, and oh, what a great opportunity for SGA folks to step in. Absolutely, Olivia, that is a great idea. Starting an archive, 10 things to think about. Would love to connect you with folks about that. So great. We'll definitely use you as as one of our first participants. I know we've got 1 minute. So,
and I just want to say that being in one kind of relationship doesn't preclude you from being in another. So, for instance, we're going to try to start to make sure that all of our current or signed up mentors will also be in a cohort of other mentors, just so you have someone to bounce ideas off as well. But again, we'll keep all of that to under 5 hours a month.
All right. Are you any final thoughts from either of our presenters?
Thank you so much for your enthusiasm for being here and listening to us and taking that excitement, enthusiasm into the new year. We appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much. Our time has come to an end, but I appreciate our presenters, Laura and Tamar, for sharing with us today about the work they've done to refresh this program and to help our SGA community. Please feel free to follow up with them later if you have any additional comments or questions beyond what you've already shared. And thank you for those of you who participated throughout this discussion.